Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'll be playing another premiere draft of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, and we have quite a simple pack one, pick one, an excellent rare, the Lion Sash, the Scavenging Ooze style effect that keeps getting bigger and bigger throughout the game, and also has the ability to reconfigure to attach onto any of your creatures. So this is just an absolutely excellent card, and I'm happy to pick one pack one it. If we didn't have that rare here, Boseiju Reaches Skyward is probably our strongest uncommon, quite a powerful saga there. Other than that, decent commons here. Mukotai Ambusher has been one of the better ninjutsu cards. Wanderer's Intervention is fine removal. Suit Up's a fine combat trick since it draws you a card. Maybe like Commune. Not a super spicy pack outside of the rare and the Boseiju. Pack 2 now, we could take an Intercessor's Arrest to follow that up, just pick some nice removal and stick to just white for now. There's also the Modern Age, one of the best blue commons. This lets you draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, and get a 2/3 flyer down. Pretty great saga there. And yeah, I'm kind of in for the Modern Age, although it could be Intercessor's Arrest as the pick here. Roadside Reliquary is solid, Goshintai is okay. Not much else going on in the commons. It's really just Intercessor's Arrest and the Modern Age here as the best 2 cards in the pack, I think. And yeah, we'll go basic today. We're going to try very hard to play our powerful rare, the Lion Sash, so we're already going to be pretty committed to whites, even with 1 white card taken so far. So we're incredibly likely to end up playing Intercessor's Arrest. A little less likely to end up playing the Modern Age because we could get pushed off of blue easier than we can get pushed off of white. Here we have another copy of Intercessor's Arrest, or we have Michiko's Reign of Truth, which is a great aggressive saga. This isn't much of a 2-drop because you want to wait till you have another creature down to start buffing, but if we play this like turn 3 after a turn 2 Lion Sash or something like that, this can be pretty powerful, and it does eventually turn into a pretty solid creature. So Reign of Truth is good here, Intercessor's Arrest is good here, Recovery Unit can be okay in the right builds, and Sunblade Samurai is nice that it's flexible, but I think it is a bit weaker than a or Michiko's Reign of Truth just in terms of impact for the mana cost. And yeah, all these white cards are some of the best cards in the pack. Moonsnare Specialist is also pretty sweet. Careful Cultivation and Favor of Jukai are solid. But yeah, these white cards are pretty great. I think we couldn't really go super wrong here with Reign of Truth or Arrest, so I think I'll go Reign of Truth. Get a little aggressive this time since we already have 1 Arrest at least. Now we have Kami's Flare in red for some great, just efficient removal. Other than that, Harmonious Emergence in green is quite a solid card, basically a 5-mana 4/5 Vigilance Haste. Web Spinner Cuff is just a really annoying blocker in green. Yeah, Kami's Flare, Harmonious Emergence, Web Spinner Cuff are kind of my top picks here. Imperial Subduer wouldn't be the end of the world, but it's just not great. Iron Apprentice can often be fine just because you care about having artifacts and enchantments down a lot. So for cards like Michiko's Reign of Truth, it's a 1-drop that also is an artifact to help up that count. So Iron Apprentice isn't like an unpickable card here. Probably take a green card here. We're seeing more green pass than red. So I'll take probably Harmonious Emergence over the Web Spinner Cuff. That might be a little weird, but in green-white you tend to have a ton of cards that care about having specifically enchantments, so I'm going to value the slightly weaker enchantment to the slightly better artifact creature there for if we do push into green-white. Wanderer's Intervention's fine removal, not as good as Intercessor's Arrest in my opinion, although the Arrest can get blown up by things that will destroy enchantments, which are definitely main deckable in this format. I like Skyblast Samurai. If we end up in green-white, we'll have a decent amount of enchantments on board. Even if we're just in white, we already have 2 enchantments, the Reign of Truth and Arrest. If you can cast this for 5 mana or less, that's where you're getting a great deal. So you just need to have like 2 enchantments out to be able to cast this. Greater Tanuki's a card I'm a pretty big fan of in green. Makes splashing really easy. And just a big 6/5 trample with a backup plan when you don't have enough mana. You're still doing something with it. So pretty big fan of Tanuki. Mothrider Patrol is not bad either. It's a nice 1-drop because it's relevant early game with evasion to keep chipping at your opponent, and relevant late game with a good mana sink ability. But I think I prefer the Tanuki. It's just a giant, adorable raccoon dog. Now we have Favor of Jukai or Ancestral Katana in our colors. Yeah, nothing strong enough off color to really be pushing me anywhere. A Song Shaper, Unforgiving One are pretty filler creatures. Disruption Protocol, very filler counterspell. Yeah, probably just take Favor of Jukai here. I like that it is a combat trick or a permanent buff. And Ancestral Katana, you need a lot of Samurai or Warrior to get that buff out of it, so I don't really want to play it unless I'm in red-white. And I don't usually want to be in red-white. I've just had bad experiences with the color pair in comparison to others' power level. So we're going to be moving on to pack 1, pick 8 here. Uh-oh. Trying to get a water flavor mix in my drink, and the bottom of the bottle is like dented. So you can't just set it down. This is probably Era of Enlightenment, although Born to Drive is interesting too. Era of Enlightenment's just a pretty good deal for 2. Bit of a slow card again, because it does take 3 turns to fully go off, but Scry 2, Gain 2, and a 2/2 first strike, all for only 2 mana. It's a pretty exceptional deal. So I think I'll be taking that here. Born to Drive is interesting. It's instant speed, 3 mana, get 2 1/1s, or you get to 3 mana, play a big aura. That's going to be a huge buff late in the game. But I think I like Era of Enlightenment better. This is a pretty easy Uncharted Haven. Not a huge fan of When We Were Young as a combat trick. It's just quite an expensive combat trick. Sure, it does do a lot, especially if you have an artifact and enchantment down, but I don't love having to hold up like 4 mana to drop my combat trick. So I'll just take Uncharted Haven here. Roadside Reliquary pretty easily. Regent's Authority is a combat trick I'd be a little happier to play, but I don't tend to run a ton of combat tricks, so I usually just pick them up really late when there's nothing else in the pack if I want them. And Roadside Reliquary is really good in 2-color decks that have some artifacts and some enchantments, so it's a land you can cycle for a card or 2 later in the game. Alright, let's see if I can actually get my flavor mix into my water bottle here without spilling the water everywhere. That is the question. Probably not, but hopefully I can. How many packs are we waiting on here? Delete Magic the Gathering is got a couple packs beside us. Maybe they deleted the game. And then no, their picks are just timing out. Well, Imperial Subduer it is. None of these off-color cards are really playable. Guardians of Boros is probably the best one, and that's not even that good. Alright, Light the Way is a fine little combat trick. The 2-mana 1/3 artifact creature isn't completely unplayable either if we really want to have artifacts and enchantments on board. For cards like Roadside Reliquary, ooh, this is going to be an excellent rare for us, the Kami of Transcend. 2-mana 2/2 trample, so worst case scenario, fine deal. And whenever you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and at the beginning of your end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. So just a really good card for these green-white decks. It's going to come out with trample and just start getting bigger and bigger as we keep casting our enchantments, and then later in the game it can just come back from the grave, be a resilient card. Pretty easy slam of the rare there. Definitely looking like green-white enchantments is going to be our strategy. Our curve is pretty awkward. We don't have a ton of creatures or anything yet. But we're early in the draft. We're basically just 1 pack in. So we can start working on making this deck look more cohesive now in pack 2. So now what do we have? Bamboo Grove Archer is pretty good in these decks. It's just a nice wall to hold off any aggressive decks for a little bit. And late in the game, you can channel this to destroy any flying creature, which is nice. So I do like Bamboo Grove Archer. I like Repel the Vile as well. There are enough enchantments like sagas and enchantment creatures alongside the ability to exile creatures power 4 or greater that this almost always has a target with one of those 2 options. Historian's Wisdom's fine. You can give something +2/+1 and draw a card. If you don't draw a card off of it, it's pretty bad, but if you do, it's solid, it's fine. That's about it. Yongjae Exemplar is okay, because it's an enchantment creature, nice little filler 2-drop. But we're not going to have a ton of Warrior Samurai, so I'm not super pumped about the Exemplar. Repel the Vial or Bamboo Grove Archer here. I'll just slam a Repel the Vial, I guess. Here we can take a Bamboo Grove Archer. Ooh, but there's an Imperial Oath. Kind of wish I actually took the Bamboo Grove Archer over the Repel the Vial, because we do want more early game creatures to block stuff, but I let the timer time out there. Here I'm going to take Imperial Oath. It's just an excellent 6-drop. It's always making a really big impact. 3 2/2s with Vigilance and scrying 3 that late in the game when you already have 6 mana. Scry 3 is going to be like drawing multiple cards, because every land you see you don't want at all. The Fall of Lord Konda's fine, but I don't love it because there's a lot of times where I've had this card in hand and it just has never had a target, and that is a huge downside. If you have a card in your hand and you can't even cast it, that's a big downside. So I actually even prefer Repel the Vial over the Fall of Lord Konda, because it's kind of, it just hits way more often, even though it doesn't ever give you the 2-for-1 like the Fall of Lord Konda does. Probably a Zeus's Many Journeys here. Another cheap Saga. Lets us play an additional land, then gain 3 life, then spit out a 3/3, so we ramp up pretty quickly with it. Containment Construct has some really fun combos with the set. If you have cheap channel abilities, you can channel something and then cast it. Or if you're in blue, that's where it's at its absolute best, because it's insane with the Modern Age, where you draw a card, discard a card. And then instead of that, you're basically just drawing a card with the Modern Age, because you just discard your land for turn and play it off Construct. So Construct's cool. We've seen 2 of those recently, so somebody's going to be pretty happy to be playing that combo, but not us. There's also a colorless combo with the Containment Construct. If you have the 3-mana Network Terminal, that has an ability as well to tap it and draw a card and discard a card. So that will also get buffed with Containment Construct. So here it's Era of Enlightenment or Tamiyo's Safekeeping. Tamiyo's Safekeeping is actually played out really well, because it's very versatile. It makes your creature win combat against an equally sized creature, or it protects your creature from any removal spell or any targeted spell. So Safekeeping's actually been quite good. So we might want that over another Era. Probably not. I want like a million 2-mana things almost all the time in limited. So I'm going to take an Era there, but I think I would be pretty happy to see an Era of Enlightenment, a Tamiyo Safekeeping come up at some point. We can run that instead of our Light the way that's currently in there. So Season of Renewal is really great in these enchantment-based decks for late game. It's just a huge value swing, picking up 2 cards consistently, just a creature and an enchantment, which we can definitely do in this deck. Yep, we've got a ton of 2-drop early game plays now, so getting some nice late game card draw is going to be nice. Especially when Greater Tanuki can be channeled on 3, that makes our curve look a little nicer. Favored Jukais can be channeled on 2 as a combat trick. Oh yeah, this is looking pretty sweet. There's that When We Were Young again, or Imperial Recovery Unit, neither of which I'm going to be super likely to play here. Guess I'll just take a Recovery Unit. Ooh, Roaring Earth I will definitely play. This hasn't played out as well as I'd hoped. It looks like a really good card, but it just plays out okay. Probably better than Sunblade Samurai. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong there. But I'm still going to take it. Makes it so every land you hit for the rest of the game is putting a +1/+1 counter on one of your cards. Or alternatively, if you just draw late game, it's just an instant speed, uncounterable XX land. So I like both halves of the card fairly well. So we have a Jukai Trainee or a Moth Rider Patrol. Got a lot at 2, and Moth Rider Patrol is certainly not an unplayable 1-drop, so we can just grab a 1-drop here. So it's possible to go 1-mana card, 2-mana card, and just start the game running with a really good curve there. Befriending the Moths and Historian's Wisdom are pretty comparable to me. They're both fine, but not super exciting. Really don't like playing the Dragonfly suit unless I have a really big reason to, like I have the 3-mana 1/1s that spit out 1/1 tokens to crew it or something. Yeah, these are both pretty whatever. I guess I'll go Historian's Wisdom, because that card is more impactful with the 1-drop, 2-drop kind of curve, where we go Moth Rider Patrol into Kami of Transcendence, and then give the Kami of Transcendence a Historian's Wisdom. That would be a pretty nuts start if we're lucky. Could take a Bamboo Grove Archer here, but we have a lot of 2-drops now, and I actually probably don't want Defenders, so maybe just take the combat trick here, which I have. Seven-Tail Mentor is like okay. I'm not going to play another Light the Way, sure. We'll take a 7-tail Mentor. It's probably going to get cut, but you never know. Another nice little filler creature there. Well, we're 2 packs down. We have a whole deck, and it's a good deck. So time to make it a great deck as we move into the final pack. And this pick is already going to help with that a ton. Blossom Prancer is absolutely excellent. 5 mana for a 4/4 reach that draws another creature or enchantment from the top 5 cards of your library. That should always hit something in green-white. And even if it doesn't, it'll still gain you 4 life. So Blossom Prancer is an absurd card to the point where we do have to take it over the solid removal like Intercessor's Arrest here. Ooh, now we have Goshintai of Shared Purpose. This card is really annoying, and it can definitely lock up the board and close out some games. This card single-handedly won me some games in the Arena Open Day 2, where I got my 1,000 USD. So maybe I overvalue the card after having that experience with it. When the card has won me actual cash money, it's kind of hard to pass it by. So maybe I am supposed to just take the Intercessor's Arrest or the Tamio Safekeeping here, but I kind of fell in love with Goshintai there in that event. Alright, pretty easy. Another Intercessor's Arrest here. We could splash in a Sky Turtle. That wouldn't be the hardest splash in the world. We have a Greater Tanuki and an Uncharted Haven. But Intercessor's Arrest is going to do a lot of work for us too. We can just stick to a pretty solid, just green-white deck here. Maybe even wheel a Geothermal Kami, that'd be pretty cool. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple here. Another Air of Enlightenment, I suppose. I really don't like Orochi Merge Keeper too much. Grafted Growth would be better, because it's just enchantment ramp instead of creature ramp. I just really don't like 1 toughness creatures a lot in this format, because black has so many ways to really punish you for them. Life of Toshiro Umezawa goes from a good card to just, you're not going to win if you've played 2 1 toughness creatures and then they play Life of Toshiro Umezawa. Yeah, I'll take the Air of Enlightenment here. Maybe it's supposed to be Bearer of Memory, though. We don't have a lot of 3 mana creatures. Got a lot of 2 mana sagas. I feel like Air of Enlightenment's just better than Bearer of Memory by a little bit, though. And we can pick one up here, although we can also pick up an Imperial Oath. So Imperial Oath versus Bearer of Memory here. Spoken my piece on the Fall of Lord Konda. I've just had that card burn me too many times with an opponent that doesn't have a big card. We already have multiple Favor of Jukai. We already have multiple better removal spells than Wanderer's Intervention also. So yeah, Oath or Bearer. Oath is the better card, but Bearer gives us more actual creatures on 3. We have 1 3-mana creature right now on the curve. Although Historian's Wisdom does put more power on the board on turn 3, so it sort of counts. I feel like Oath is just such an absurd card. I still want to take it here, which could be wrong. But here's a pretty easy Fang of Shigeki. I'm not playing Dragonfly Suit in here, and 7-Tail Mentor. I already have 1, and I'm considering cutting it. Alright. Again, Fang of Shigeki, generally a pretty good card, but if we run up against the Life of Toshiro Umezawa, I'm going to cry. Story Weave, instant speed, +2/+2 permanently to something is a fine combat trick. Befriending the Moths is fine, but a bit slow. Bamboo Grove Archer, I think we've got plenty of 2s. Yeah, I'll take Befriending the Moths here. Now I think we're getting to the point where we're taking a bunch of cards we're not playing. Looks like, yeah, we could play a Shrine Steward. This can pick up our Goshintai of Shared Purpose, or one of our Intercessor's Arrests, or Favor of Jukai, or Harmonious Immersion. So this is actually a really flexible, pretty powerful card. 5 mana for a 3/2 that tutors for a big game-ending creature like a 4/5 Vigilance Haste, or a removal spell like Intercessor's Arrest, or something to muck up the board like Goshintai of Shared Purpose, or just a combat trick like Favor of Jukai. The more flexible your Shrine Steward is, the better the card is, and it's definitely flexible enough in here that I'm going to work to make sure that we can fit this into the deck, actually. Didn't look super exciting at first glance, but then I took another peek at how many auras and shrines we had, and yeah, this is going to be a very solid card for us. Probably looking to start cutting combat tricks here and some medium creatures. Probably still want 1 Favor of Jukai because we have the Shrine Steward. Now we can take a Bearer of Memory, or we can take a Skyblessed Samurai. 16 enchantments. Yeah, let's take a second Skyblessed Samurai and hope that's a 5 mana 4/4 flyer most of the time. A bunch of nonsense. I'll take the rarest card for Vault Progress. Not so sure about Seven-Tail Mentor befriending the Moss. We already have 2 lands in here, so we're at 28 cards. If we cut those... maybe no Imperial Subduer. Definitely would play Bearer of Memory over Imperial Subduer, that's for certain. I'm not going to play a 3rd Favor of Jukai, so we'll have the Fall of Lord Konda as an option. I'm not going to play a Seven-Tail Mentor. I already cut my first copy. Maybe we are still cutting Favor of Jukai here. I like these 1-drops in here. Sure, they are 1 toughness creatures, so they just get absolutely demolished by Life of Toshiro Mizawa, or the red card that does 1 damage to all your creatures, or anything like that. But while they do get demolished in those matchups, they're very good with our Michiko's Reign of Truth. We want to have a lot of 1-mana, 2-mana creatures to make this card really pop, really go off. Wow, I picked the worst water bottle today. This thing will not stop falling over. Okay, so we still need to cut 4 more cards. And then we'll have a deck. This might be a little bold saying that Skyblast Samurai is going to be a 4-drop, but we're just going to put it there on the curve and hope for the best. Probably cutting Imperial Subduer since it's not an enchantment. 12 creatures, but we have a lot of sagas. We've got 5 sagas, so basically 17 creatures right now, so we'll cut down to 16 when we cut Imperial Subduer. That's fine. 15 to 17 range. It's your average mid-rangey, aggro-y, limited deck. So we need to cut 3 more cards. And I don't want to cut a land here. We're going to need a lot of mana. We have these that could cost more than that. You know, these could cost a ton for us. We have multiple 5-drops. Both of these draw us an additional card that we might need extra mana for. We have multiple 6-drops as well. We definitely don't want to cut a land. We might even want to add a land, but that would require cutting 4 more cards instead of 3 more cards at this point, and that might be a hard sell for me. We do have Harmonious Emergence as another creature, so even cutting Imperial Subduer, we basically have 17 creatures in here, so we could cut another creature. Maybe we do cut one of the arrows, maybe 3 is a lot. I definitely don't want to cut Lion Sash or Michiko's Reign of Truth. Just as many journeys is pretty fun too, don't want to cut that. Certainly don't want to cut Kami of Transcendence. Guess that's 7 2-drop things. Yeah, we'll cut one of the eras, I guess. And then the Imperial Oaths are also just more creatures in the late game. Maybe we cut one of our Skyblast Samurai, or maybe even one of the Oaths. I feel like that's wrong. Oath is just such an absurd card. Alright, so we might be cutting the Favor. I don't love cutting Historian's Wisdom with how many 2-mana creatures we have, but 4 of them are sagas, so we only have 4 cards that will be creatures by turn 3. So that might be a little too inconsistent for Historian's Wisdom. Magical Christmas Land is when we get to cast this on a Kami of Transcendence. It'll get a +1/+1 counter when we cast this, and then it'll be a 3/3 trample with +2/+1, so it'll be a 5/4 trample on turn 3. That's such a sick combo. But I guess this card just doesn't pair well with a lot of our other stuff. We'd have to wait a little while, treat it as like a 4 or 5 mana card, because we have to wait for our sagas to flip to put it on one of them. But it is good on a first striker. I mean, it is good on those things. It does seem like one of the most medium cards, though. We'll cut those 2. And then that could be the deck here. I feel like I might supposed to have more lands in here. Because again, even Season of Renewal is a late game play. Harmonious Emergence is basically a 5-drop. We have a lot of expensive stuff in here. But we do have a Greater Tanuki channeling to pull out lands. Air of Enlightenments can scry towards lands. If we cut one more card for a land, what would the final cut be? Maybe a Moth Rider Patrol? Then that lowers the number of creatures for Michiko's Reign of Truth. And just the number of creatures in general. Maybe it's supposed to be one of these Skyblessed Samurai. 14 enchantments now, 2 of which are the Samurai, so 12 other enchantments. I could see cutting one of the Samurai. Slamming in another land here for the Imperial Oaths. Imperial Oaths are a big reason to play 18 lands, because you want to make it to your 6 mana to cast your Imperial Oaths pretty consistently. And then when you do cast the Imperial Oaths, they have the ability to scry away any of your extra lands once you get there. So if you have 2-3 Imperial Oaths, they're like alone a pretty big reason to consider hopping up to 18 lands. So especially with our curve getting as high as it does, with so many 5-drops and a Skyblessed Samurai being potentially like 7 mana, and Greater Tanuki being a 6-drop, I think I'm very down for the 18 land build. We also have Roaring Earth, which if we cast early game, keeps doing things. Even if we're flooding out, we're getting counters on stuff. And if we draw out late game, having a million mana to make a gigantic creature will be nice too. Okay, so we have 12 white symbols and 9 green symbols. So slightly more white than green, but not by a whole ton. We do have double green cards like Blossom Prancer and Greater Tanuki. One of our green cards can pull out a mana of any color, the Greater Tanuki's channel ability. None of our white cards need 2 white sources. Yeah, I'm pretty good for just a 50-50 split here. 8 of each, 1 that's either, and 1 that is neither. Alright, I think this is going to be the deck that we're playing today. I love how many 1 and 2 mana cards I have to dump out, so I can always just get the ball rolling. And then we have a lot of big impactful late game plays. We've got stuff for throughout the game. Pretty big fan of this deck here. Some good removal too, double Arrest and a Repel the While. We'll see how it pans out for us. Alright, here we are now, game 1. We can turn 1 a Fang of Shigeki. Turn 2 we drop our white source so that we have our turn 3 rest up if we want it. Kind of an awkward hand. It's not a quick rollout at all here, but it's got some very impactful cards. Fang of Shigeki to hold down the fort. A removal spell alongside it. Late game Blossom Prancer should be sweet. Tawashi Songshaper from our opponent. Going to be a 3-3 off of the Kumano Faces Kakazan. Drop a Kami of Transcendence this turn. Have another blocker down. Probably just want to hold down the fort. We've only seen very aggressive red cards so far, so let's make sure we can block pretty well. If they have the 3 mana, 2 damage to a creature, and 1 to everything else spell, we kind of just lose on the spot. They're on Rakdos here, Life of Toshiro Umezawa, which is incredibly good against 1 toughness creatures. A big reason, as I said just during the draft, every time that card hits like anything, it just ends the game. Not legitimately, but it's immediately a 2-for-1, and it's often even more than that. Just an incredibly big deal. Yeah, we can't play the Arrest. We haven't hit the white source, so we have to just take it all this turn. Just going to be a big hit, taking 5. Just the aggressive start from the Rakdos aggro deck. Life of Toshiro Umezawa for great value as well. Kills our Death Toucher, hits in for 2 more damage this turn, and spits out a 3-3 this turn. We can Arrest Hidetsugu, but we're still taking 4. When we play a Blossom Prancer, we can choose to gain 4 life off of it. It's probably our best bet, but then they can use their Simian Sling reconstructed onto the Songshaper to make that a 4-4 that can still attack into our Moth Rider Patrol, and that's a pretty good draw. Hidetsugu into Thundering Raiju off the top will be not quite lethal, but there is no possible way we survive this turn. And that was a pretty absurd rollout from our opponent. And as we said when we kept our hand, a bit of a slow start for us, so we were just hoping our opponent doesn't have something like the Stone Cold Nuts like that. Maybe I shouldn't talk about Life of Chishiro Umezawa so much during the draft, because if I do, it's just going to pop up every time I play a 1-1. Every time I play a 1 toughness creature. The more I mention it, the more it's going to happen. I'm speaking of the devil. That being said, every time I'm playing black, I love drafting Life of Chishiro Umezawa as highly as possible. Honestly, in terms of power level, it's probably my favorite common or uncommon. It's just stupid. It's just a dumb card. I can't imagine playing with Umezawa's Jite back in original Kamigawa. That was an equipment where your creature would get the ability to put charge counters on the Jite every time they dealt damage. And then you could remove a charge counter from it at any time, just at instant speed to do one of those 3 effects. The +2/+2, -1/-1, or gain 2 life. It was absolutely absurd. So what do we want to do here? Don't really want to arrest their Goshintai yet. I mean, it's still just a 2/2. That being said, I can just wait to Harmonious Emergence till it has haste. That's the same as casting it this turn. I could just play our Goshintai, but I kind of want to wait till I have 5 mana for that as well. So maybe we do just drop a 4 mana card, so we can play 4 mana card this turn and a 5 mana card next turn. Sure. A little awkward to have the 4/5 come to play tapped, but we'll deal with it. What's so good about the Harmonious Emergence, where the other cards that animate lands are just not good, like Crackling Emergence, is the fact that it has Vigilance. The fact that you get to keep using it as your mana and attacking with it. Crackling Emergence, in my opinion, is really bad because of the fact that it's 2 mana to enchant one of your lands to make a 3/3 haste. Problem is that early in the game, when you only have 3 lands on the board, it is really rough to be spending your mana to be attacking and blocking instead of just casting your spells. So we haven't hit our 5th mana for the Goshintai, unfortunately. So we probably don't even want to cast it this turn, which means we get to attack and hold this up as a blocker rather than tap it for mana. We're probably playing Bearer of Memory here, I would assume. We could channel a Greater Tanuki to grab our 5th mana source as well, though. Doesn't seem super necessary, though. Yeah, let's just drop a Bearer of Memory. We've still got stuff to cast for a little while without hitting a 5th mana source. Opponent's got 5 mana now thanks to their Boseiju reaches skyward. And Jukai Preserver will be the play. That's going to buff up the Goshintai, make it a 4/4 during their end step here. So if we shut that down, they only have trades for our 3/3s. So if I shut that down with Intercessor's Arrest, I get to attack with everybody this turn. And then they get to trade Jukai Preserver into our Bearer of Memory, which is fine because we still have more spells to play, so we don't really need that mana sink anytime soon. My one issue with that is that makes it so we don't have Intercessor's Arrest left over to get rid of Boseiju. But Boseiju is going to be a 5/5? It's going to be a 6/6 because they still have a land to play. So 6/6 reach. Yeah, maybe we have to hold Intercessor's Arrest to deal with Boseiju. It's probably the case. Let's just get in with our 4/5 here. If we can trade our 4/5 into the Goshintai Boundless Vigor, I'm going to be very happy with that. That would require them to double block here if they want to trade into it. It looks like they don't. Let's play our own Goshintai here. And I'll even tap down our 4/5 to get a 1/1. If they want to attack us, that's 1 less blocker for them, and they're down to 12 life. So if they attack us with like Goshintai Boundless Vigor, we'll just not block and then still arrest the branch of Boseiju. What do they have here? They definitely have land for turn, so we know branches is 6/6. There it goes. They're definitely thinking through their options. Geothermal Kami. Gonna pick up the Jukai Preserver to get another counter later. They will buff up the Goshintai of Boundless Vigor. So now we have Greater Tanuki mana. Unfortunately, our Lion Sash isn't even super great here. There's just nothing in the graveyard to buff with, so it's not even going to make our 4/5 any bigger. I think our plan would be hopefully to get a Lion Sash to make our card or 4/5 big enough to keep attacking in if we shut off one of their blockers, but we're just not at that time currently. I guess we do have the Bearer of Memory. Only puts counters on enchantment creatures, not enchanted creatures, so we can't put counters on the land with that. We could play Greater Tanuki and then start buffing that up with Bearer of Memory, I guess. If I cast Greater Tanuki this turn, though, I'm not making a 1/1 with Goshintai. That's a little bit of lost value. Not a ton. I guess I could play Lion Sash and just hold up Roadside Reliquary. See if we can't draw more removal, because that's kind of what we're going to need. Our opponent just has massive stuff. Yeah. I guess we can just play Lion Sash and just pass. And then we spend this 2 mana to crack our Roadside Reliquary during their end step to draw 2 cards here. See if we can draw into more ways to clear the board, because their stuff is just so big. And if nothing else, that'll put another permanent into our graveyard. So there's at least 1 card to make Lion Sash bigger. Yeah, currently Lion Sash is just not a threat at all. It's very disappointing on this board state. Well, it doesn't really have to do with the board state, it has to do with the graveyard state. The fact that there's 0 cards in graveyards means Lion Sash just does not matter. But it's an artifact for Roadside Reliquary, so it does moderately matter. Alright, end step here. Let's draw our 2 cards. Alright, so we do get replacement lands for the Roadside Reliquary, but we don't hit any more removal. We don't have any reach to stop the flyer. Are we in such a position that we have to just arrest the flyer now? We probably do. This is going to be a long game. They're just going to have massive creatures we can't deal with. And we're going to have to start using Bearer of Memory to hopefully get our field anywhere near as big as theirs. Yeah, if we don't deal with Inkai's Infiltrator, we're not really breaking in through these creatures. They're not breaking in through us. It's the only way we don't just sit here taking damage. We could reconfigure Lion Sash here. Then I have to tap down the 4/5, so I don't think I'm doing that right now. Because I want to have the mana up to make a 1/1, so if I reconfigure, that's going to cost the 4/5 in a land. Reconfiguring Lion Sash wouldn't buff anything right now, it would just make it harder for the Lion Sash to die to removal. So Lion Sash will probably matter eventually. Like, we can make it a 2/2, or make whatever's equipped get +1/+1 currently. So it'll be quite some time until it matters, but it'll just get bigger. Unfortunately, since we didn't reconfigure, it's just going to die right now. Jukai Preserver. Yeah, this is going to be a very long one. Counter on the Trampler is what I would guess. Because everything else can get chump blocked by 1/1s really easily, and they see that we have just an infinite chump blocker producer. But maybe they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. So that if we do get removal for Goshintai, They still have some other threats. Ooh, Moth Rider Patrol's pretty good here. I enjoy that a lot. I probably have to just cast Greater Tanuki here, though. Make sure we have as much big stuff on board as possible for making big blocks. I guess I could play Moth Rider Patrol instead of a 1/1 Spirit. Lose a tiny bit of value here. Sure. I'm going to do one of those two effects for sure. Now that we have Moth Rider Patrol, we can essentially start using Moth Rider Patrol to keep their Trampler tapped down. Or we could just start, we can't start chipping away at them because the Boseiju Reaches Skyward is a reach creature. I was going to say Season of Renewal would be a pretty sweet draw because it's usually a sweet draw in late game clusters like this, but there's just nothing in anybody's graveyard still, so much like the Lion Sash, it would just be pretty sad. Just be like, okay, I guess I can get Lion Sash back. All it takes is one turn where somebody plays a big removal spell or something, and this board state just starts crumbling, though, and everything starts falling into the graves. Ooh, is this the turn where everything's going to start falling in the grave? Combat trick of some kind here? Green black, they could have +3/+3 reach. They could have Master's Rebuke, but they could probably just use that to kill Tanuki right now. Make attacking easier. I don't know what else they could have here. Alright, if they're just attacking like this, I don't really care what kind of combat trick they have that could maybe kill these and keep a Geothermal Kami down, so I don't really think we need to think too hard on this block here. Alright, no trick. We just trade a 3/3 and a 1/1 into a 5/4. Alright. So now we just start using our mana sink abilities to keep getting moderate value throughout the game, and hopefully, eventually, we just have a better board state. I don't even think I'm tapping down with Moth Rider Patrol, actually. But I'm definitely not attacking into a 9/9 reach. I think I'm using Bearer of Memory to make sure that our board state can keep up with theirs. Ninja's Kunai, that's very bad. It's very bad for us. That'll kill Goshintai of Shared Purpose. No, we have Bearer of Memory up. That'll only kill Moth Rider Patrol. I guess it's an instant speed effect, so now we just can't afford to not hold up 6 mana at any time. Okay, they're going to kill Bearer of Memory. That's fair enough. We can't save that one. That's pretty rough. Yeah, that's pretty disastrous, because now we don't have the ability to keep making our cards bigger and bigger. We can just keep making more 1/1s. But repeatedly making more 1/1s is probably the most important effect that we have on the board once Bear of Memory's gone, so we'll protect it a little bit by making the Goshintai of Shared Purpose big enough to survive a second Ninja's Kunai drawn from our opponent. Well, now our mana's open to just keep tapping their giant trampler, I guess. Kami of Transience is not bad. Okay. I guess we could tap their reach creature, then attack once, and then tap their reach creature, then attack once if we wanted to start killing them really, really slowly. If I'm going to have to do some massive, like, quadruple block to kill something, I guess I'd rather kill the Trampler than the Reacher. So maybe we do just keep tapping down the Reach creature instead. If something big is going to attack us, we'd rather it be the trampler so we can actually get that out of here. Well, that is not good for us either. Destroy Moth Rider Patrol or our 6-5 or Go Shintai. I was gonna say those are the top 3 targets. Go Shintai is probably the number 1. Pretty rough. Yeah, their board state is bigger / better than ours now. This is getting bad. They're very close to where they just start attacking. I think. Could attack for 1 there, but I think I'd rather get the free chump block on one of their creatures. Some just really good heart of the card draws so far from our opponent. Playing against Yugimoto. If we were playing against Yugimoto, we would have lost a long time ago, I guess. But these are solid draws from our opponent for sure. Skybless Samurai is not that bad. It's one of our better draws in the deck. We just don't have creatures quite as big as they do. We didn't get our own Boseiju Reaches Skyward or Green Go Shintai here, which is a really big deal in a matchup like this against another green deck. They just have the maximum beef. They got the Wagyu beef over there. We got the Taco Bell. Death Toucher's nice. Who mills out first? We mill out first by 1 card. What do we have left at this point? Season of Renewal. We have double Imperial Oath. Shrine Steward with Repel the Vile and Intercessor's Arrest. Roaring Earth would be a very big creature. Michiko's Reign of Truth would be a very big creature. Okay, we actually do have some beef left in there. Very true. Michiko's Reign of Truth would let us just start attacking with Skybless Samurai too, probably. That would actually be really massive. Repel the Vile would be excellent. I think every non-land in our deck is an excellent draw for us now. Our weakest draws are our 2 copies of Era of Enlightenment, which still let us scry 2, which is pretty big here. But then after that, it's all just gas. Michiko's Reign of Truth, Roaring Earth, Intercessor's Arrest, Season of Renewal, Repel the Vile, Blossom Prancer, Shrine Steward, and double Imperial Oath. All of those are just excellent here. Yeah, Season of Renewal picks up Go Shintai Lion Sash. That'd be absolutely absurd. We are quickly running out of time to draw those, though, because our opponent just got 2 removal spells. They Season of Renewal Geothermal Kami, so they got to pick up their Bamboo Grove Archer to kill our Skyblast Samurai, plus cast the Geothermal Kami to pick up the Twisted Embrace to cast another removal spell. Very excellent value plays. They have a 14/14 trample now. This is a big plant sneak now. Yep, Season of Renewal is destructively good this late in the game. They found their season before we did, so they were already in the better board state. So that'll probably be the nail in the coffin here to where they get to start attacking. Send in Geothermal Kami here. I guess it does kill one of our creatures. It's pretty annoying. That's incredibly annoying. If we lose any of these, we just have way less double blocks we can do on their other cards, like 10-10s and 14-14s. Guess Kami of Transcendence it is, because we can get that one back, potentially. Oh yeah, they killed our Samurai this turn, so we get it back immediately. So we've only lost 2 power instead of 1,000,000 power. Imperial Oath. Beautiful draw. There's Air of Enlightenment, Roaring Earth, and Shrine Steward. Pick up Roaring Earth, Shrine Steward here. Shrine Steward's going to shuffle our library anyway, so no reason to hold on to Air of Enlightenment on top. It really doesn't matter which place we put that. Yeah, Roaring Earth makes just an absolutely massive blocker. Alright, I guess we're still in it. This one game is probably going to take as long as the entire rest of the games in today's draft. Let's see. 1, 2, and then we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We make a 10-10 land with Roaring Earth. Or make our 4-5 Vigilant land of 14-15. So we can put the counters on that one if we want. Well, it says it becomes a 0-0, so does that change its native stats of 4-5 to 0-0? I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be doing that play either way. Because even a 14-15 just dies to a Goshintai anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. Probably would rather have 2 big creatures than 1 really big one. There's the Twisted Embrace on our Death Toucher. And pass turn. Roaring Earth is the draw, and pass turn. Virus Beetle. Well, here's our Roaring Earth then. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's exactly enough to make it 10-10, but then the 10-10 isn't untapped, and we've tapped our 4-5 and not the 10-10, so maybe it's better to make a 9-9. Just to have a creature untapped here. Probably is. We'll throw it on the forest here. We've got more forests than plains. We are milling out before our opponent still, and we're definitely going to mill out before our opponent once we cast Shrine Steward. So still scared of that, but we get to shut down their creature that's absolutely massive with Shrine Steward, so still definitely worth it to do that. We grab Intercessor's Arrest, we shut down Goshintai Boundless Vigor, buff our Kami. Unfortunately, they've made it up to 21 life, so there's like no way to go around and find lethal here. We need Season of Renewal sometime soon if we're going to want to close out this game in our favor. Otherwise, we're just milling. And if we didn't grab Intercessor's Rest for the Goshintai, we're just probably dying to that, so I think that was the right play, even though it means we mill before they do. But now we don't have the option of trying to mill them out, but we kind of already didn't have the option of that. We were still milling out before them, just slightly slower. Another Tales of Master Sashiro from our opponent. Opponent is full of the beef. How big would a Lion Sash be here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh yeah, actually Lion Sash is straight up and out. Yeah, no, Lion Sash wins the game, so we need Season of Renewal. This game is... If they don't have removal for a Lion Sash, this game is going to be like 100% decided upon if Lion Sash is in our top 4 cards-ish, or in the bottom. If it's in the top 4, we might be able to close the game out fast enough by forcing them to chump each turn. Oh, there we go. There's Season of Renewal. Creature and an enchantment. The creature we want Lion Sash. The enchantment we probably do want Ghost Shintai. Could be Bearer of Memory. I think it's Ghost Shintai. Maybe it's even supposed to be the flyer there, though, to make a flying creature have a Lion Sash on it. We can make Lion Sash give +6/+6, and their biggest creature's an 11/11. So +6/+6 against an 11/11. We can't attack in this turn. It's not going to be big enough. So since it's not going to be big enough this turn anyway, we cast Ghost Shintai as well. We reconfigure, and then next turn it's going to make whatever it's equipped to big enough, because we do +3/+3, and then next turn 4, 5, 6 more. So +9/+9, so put it on a 2/2, and we'll make an 11/11 against the branch. And then if they block with the branch, we can tap our land as well and make it a 12/12. If they do actually play a land and make it a 12/12 here. So we just start 2, 3, 4, 9. I guess I actually need to tap that there, awkwardly enough. Yeah, we're just going to make a really big Lion Sash and then just start attacking with a gigantic Vigilance token every turn. Trading our token off, whittling down their field. I probably just shouldn't have made a 1/1 there, that was dumb. I should just held a 9/9 up. Because I was definitely not going to use a white mana on it when I could be using the white mana on the Lion Sash. If they attack us too hard here though, we can make like a Lion Sash crackback with Trample if they don't have artifact removal in hand. Lion Sash is actually also really good if they have more Seasons of Renewal or the green-black uncommon that brings things back from grave. So careful cultivation to just make the branch incredibly big. Alright. And a Jukai trainee. Lion Sash will take it. The question is whether Lion Sash will take it fast enough. We have to have Lion Sash close the game out in 8 turns, or before they draw removal for Lion Sash. So Branch of Boseiju got bigger than we expected, so we're going to have to use some green mana to reconfigure, but that's no biggie. We only need the white mana for the buffs. Repel the Vial for the Branch? Oh my god. That's a draw. We can Repel the Vial of the Branch and still have 6 mana up. 6 mana makes the Samurai go from 5/5 to 11/11. What a draw. They're going to scoop them up. Lion Sash will take it. They don't... If they scoop it up there, then they must not have artifact removal in there. So yeah, the plan is we're going to make this 5/5 Samurai is going to be an 11/11 Vigilance attack in, even if it trades off with the Death Toucher, then next turn, slap it onto the next Samurai, and then exile even more cards from grave. And then the next Samurai's attacking is like a 13/13. They have to like double block with this, then we kill the 9/9, then slap it on the next Samurai. Eventually we get there. That's why I was always having the question, do we get there faster than we mill out or not? Because it's going to be slow. But Lion Sash will take it over time. Wow, really long game, hard-fought battle. Big back and forth. I thought we were on the back foot most of that time there, but... Imperial Oath to scry us towards good cards, into Season of Renewal and Shrine Steward were just dramatically good for us, so 1-1 it'll be. We found the heart of the cards. Game 3 now, pretty sick opener. Era of Enlightenment to make sure we keep hitting lands, because this hand wants some lands, that's for sure. 4 mana. It's actually pretty good. Gets us to our Go Shintai, and we'll have 2 enchantments on the board, making the Samurai cost 5. So we have a 2-drop, a 4-drop, and a 5-drop now. And I guess on turn 3 we're just playing Fang of Shigeki awkwardly. See what we're scrying into here. We don't need too many more lands now, but we do still want the 6 mana for Oath. This will guarantee we hit Oath turn 6. I'm pretty fine with that, because if we cast the Oath turn 6, we scry out of the next lands that we hit. We scry 3 more cards. So... little hard to get mana flooded in this deck because of the mana sinks and stuff. At least hard to get mana flooded early game because we've got mana sinks and scry and all that. So here's our awkward turn 3 Fang of Shigeki. Still good on turn 3, still gonna block a Golden Tail Disciple. Get it off the board. Although with a Go Shintai of Shared Purpose coming down, we could also just threaten to block, hope they don't attack, and if they do attack, just not block with Fang so that we can kill something bigger with it later, because we can block a 2/3 with a 1/3 all day long. Alright, well, I'll take it for now, go to 20. See if they play something scarier. Not super worried about ninjutsu here. That would be a big reason to block, though. If we were scared of a Kappa Tech Wrecker... Yeah, Kappa Tech Wrecker is a disgusting card. Maybe we should have blocked just out of fear of that card. It's a card that'll ninjutsu for a green and 1. Picks up the card. Hits the board as a 1/3 Death Toucher. They can remove its Death Touch ability to exile one of our artifacts or enchantments. So it's just a really good 2-for-1. The Kappa Tech Wrecker. Here's our Go Shintai, and now our Samurai will come down next turn, and we'll still have the mana up to make a 1/1 that turn as well. And then the turn after that, we get to Imperial Oath and see what's coming next. Opponent with 4 mana up, 5 cards in hand. They have a Golden Tail Disciple and a Circuit Mender on board. So a couple 2/3s, one with a lifelink, the other with the ability to draw them a card when it leaves the battlefield. I don't think we're letting anything through from this point on, because Circuit Mender is just so good with ninjutsu that if they cap attack record, it will absolutely demolish us. They'll draw an extra card and exile our Go Shintai of Shared Purpose. So they attack both. We probably put the Death Toucher on Disciple and the 1/3 on the Circuit Bender now. It does make our Go Shintai die to a combat trick, which would be a big deal. And if we lose an enchantment, we no longer have the mana to play Samurai and make a 1/1. So hopefully they're just not planning on attacking here. Boseiju reaches Skyward. Very big card here. Super happy to still have a Fang of Shigeki on board now and probably just not blocking with that. Period. Drawn to a Lion Sash. Gonna be cool for the future, but for now I'm gonna get my one attack in with my Samurai while I can before Boseiju reaches Skyward becomes a large reach blocker. Just the most efficient use of our mana. Get their biggest creature on board in a 1/1 instead of just one Sash and a 1/1 with, again, nothing in the grave. Lion Sash really, as we saw last game, it's gonna pop off late game, but at the start, it's just chilling, not doing much. This will probably be our last card in hand, this Lion Sash, probably just playing Oath next turn. Sending in the squad. If they get rid of our Death Toucher, we can't deal with Boseiju. This is clearly some kind of trick. We've got pretty great value in hand, scrying 3 more, and everything that dies is going to start making Sash bigger, so sure, let's let things die to tricks. That's not a good block. Let's do this. They only kill one of these two. And then we definitely keep Go Shintai down. Yeah, this seems pretty good to me. It all depends on what their trick is here. Is it +2/+2 to 2 creatures? That would be disastrous, actually. And that one trick that I don't like playing because it's 4 mana, but they have 6 mana up here, so the world is their oyster. It's like no trick, but maybe just a Wrath. Exile all creatures. The Farewell. Pretty absurd card. Yep. And exile all graveyards to stop Lion Sash. Brutal. Yeah, Farewell is an absolutely busted magic card, not one you can super play around either, because it is the one rare Wrath effect in the set. It has an incredibly high win rate. And might just take our lunch money today. Although these are some great draws, wow. Michiko's Reign of Truth actually isn't that great of a draw. We probably just cast Blossom Prancer to pick up the Shrine Steward. So next turn we have the mana to go Blossom Prancer, Lion Sash, and have a Shrine Steward in wait. Yep, seems good. Opponent said adios. Yep, and they've got the gas left in hand to refuel the board after the Wrath. Hopefully no removal left in hand, though, at least. These are all pretty good. I do think Shrine Steward's the best, though. The Roaring Earth is pretty big. Don't think it's Patrol or Many Journeys, though. I think it's got to be Shrine Steward, because Shrine Steward's just going to pick us up an aura to get rid of the Branch or the Tanuki, whatever we need to deal with. Lion Sash, still just a 1/1 here, no good permanence in grave. But we're just going to make the best use of all of our mana and get it out while we can. It's more importantly, it's an artifact on board for our Roadside Reliquary. We are actually hoping to hit a land next turn so that we can spend 5 on Steward plus 3 mana on an Arrest. And then the turn after that, we can go ahead and crack our Reliquary, because we'll have an enchantment on board. Our removal spell we grab off our Shrine Steward plus an artifact on board, our Steward or our Lion Sash. I doubt both of those will get killed. Lion Sash will probably get killed if they have removal, even though it doesn't really matter right now. They might Threat Assess and just kill Blossom Prancer for now, if they have removal. So they can try to just close out the game quickly. Make sure we don't have a way to get out of this. Tales of Master Sashiro, buffing the Branch of Boseiju. It's a 9/9. Oh, it gives it Vigilance till end of turn 2. Kill Tanuki. Kill the branch too. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright, we get absolutely blown out by a combat trick, but let's see. Maybe it's Master's Rebuke, instant speed removal in hand. This is our best opportunity to come back, because if they don't have something, we get rid of Branch. Sure, we lose most of our creatures, but then we Shrine Steward, get rid of Tanuki. They're down to just Tales of Master Sashiro. So just one 5/5 Vigilance. Double Strikers, well, that's pretty bad for us. Yeah, no, now they're going to have 2 threats left, which is a big deal. But at least we're getting rid of the Trampler for now. Soon enough, if Lion Sash isn't destroyed, we can use Lion Sash to make sure we have a big enough blocker. There are 1, 2. There are only 2 permanents in Graves, though, so Lion Sash is only +2/+2. Yeah, no, this Double Striker is going to be a very big deal, especially with the +1/+1 counter granted to it by the Tales of Master Sashiro. So, on board, our multi-block ended pretty well, but they had a follow-up very threatening creature to play, a 3/3 Double Striker here, thanks to Tails. There's Tawashi Guidebot putting another counter on it, a 4/4 Double Striker. Well, now it's in reach of our... let's get another permanent in the grave, awkwardly enough. Now it's in reach of our 4 mana removal. Ooh, Roaring Earth. 2 green and 6, we can make a 6/6. And block and trade with Blade Blizzard Kitsune. No, we can only make a 5/5, but that'll still block and trade with Kitsune. If we had the mana to make a 6/6, we could block and kill Sashiro's Living Legacy without losing a creature, and that would be just nuts. So Tawashi Guidebot is going to pop off now. They've certainly got the mana to start drawing a card every turn. Go to combat, send in the 4/4 Double Strike and the 5/5. We'll make our blocker. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's all our mana we can use. Trade for the Double Striker because it does way more damage, and we'll take 5. Now there are multiple more permanents in the graveyard for Lion Sash. The problem here is going to be our lack of white mana. Play a Bearer of Memory here. We're going to have to chump block Sashiro's Living Legacy for a turn. The mana to exile 1 card with Lion Sash and then draw off of Roadside Reliquary is probably the plan. Maybe we just draw off of Roadside Reliquary right now. Well, that's white mana, which is important. That is the better color to draw into. That's 3. We can make the Samurai a 5/5. Might, it's a little all in. Like, if they draw removal, we're dead. We take exactly 9, but it's our best bet, I think. Because alternatively, if I just cast Bearer of Memory, I wasn't going to be reconfiguring this turn because I'd be spending all my white mana for buffing up the Sash. So if they draw removal, we don't have an out either way. Because they're just going to kill the Lion Sash, and then we have a 2/2 and a 3/2. Against all this stuff, we have to just chump block a couple times. So I think this is our best bet. So we just cross our fingies. 3 cards in hand. Again, Tawashi Guidebot popping off. I think it's drawn them 3 cards now. And there's removal. Yeah, that's actually the exact removal that demolishes my soul. Because I was going to say, if it was removal that kills this, then the Sash pops off, but it doesn't pop off because it doesn't kill it. It's still on board. So it's the exact removal that kills us. We actually don't die to other removal. I guess we're technically not dead because they did tap down the Guidebot, but we're just dead. We take 7 and go to 2 life, then we cast a Bearer of Memory. We can unconfigure and have 2 blockers. That's the only way we survive another turn, but we don't even survive there because they go attack all 3, block there, take another 2 and die. So unless we top deck, I can't even think of what we could top deck that would survive there. I don't think anything does. So I did not do the math right. I forgot they tapped down the 2-1. We would have technically had another turn, but 0 way out of that one in my opinion. Because even if we draw whatever the perfect draw is that I can't think of that lets us survive 1 more turn, they're still drawing 2 cards a turn from Guidebot with a board state that's bigger than ours currently. And more creatures out to go wider than us. We're dead in a lot of ways there. So 1 and 2 heading into round 4. Ooh, this is a nice curve. Fang of Shigeki into Era of Enlightenment into maybe popping a Tanuki's Channel ability. If we draw more lands, we'll just hold the Tanuki in hand, get ready to cast a Skyblessed Samurai a couple turns early. Thanks to having a couple enchantments on the board. Generous Visitor from our opponent. Terrifying 1-drop, one of the best 1-drops for a green-white enchantment deck or any green-based enchantment deck. Green-white, green-black, green-blue being the top for that card. No plays turn 2 at least. I'm willing to trade my Death Toucher into that. Although I would probably rather hold it as a blocker. Because if I attack in and they just don't block and play an enchantment next turn, I take 2. The other Era of Enlightenment seems pretty good. Maybe wanted to keep that land for Imperial Oath here, actually. But we could just keep the lands on the next Era of Enlightenment that we cast here. Intercessor's Arrest on Fang of Shigeki. I guess I should have hit in for my 1 damage. Here's our next Era. Repel the Vial and a land. Excuse me, both being good draws. We'll draw Repel the Vial first, because we already have our land in hand to play next turn. It's a green source, right? Yeah, so now we have double white, triple green. Favor of Shukai? Well, I am glad I'm about to draw Repel the Vial, because that's going to be a nice 2-for-1, and then they're down to 2 cards in hand. Could take another hit of 6 here if I'm feeling bold. Just play a Samurai, take a hit of 6. But then they might have mana up to play the 1 mana, give a creature hexproof trick or something like that. Feels a little too bold for me. 2 cards in hand, 5 mana on board. And pass turn. Start attacking with our Eras of Enlightenment, and we get to attack with, or we get to cast a Skyblessed Samurai this turn. We might have the mana for an Imperial Oath next turn, which will be awesome if we do. Sunblade Samurai from our opponent, a 4/4 Vigilance on the ground. We do hit Imperial Oath mana, which is beautiful. Go ahead and get our Scry off. Another Imperial Oath and a Roaring Earth. Don't mind if I do. We're just going to cast another Imperial Oath next turn to go wide and just attack for lethal pretty soon. Just how many 2/2s we're going to have on board. Oh no, not if they cast Imperial Oath. But we are still getting there in the sky with our Skyblessed Samurai at least. They do scry 1 to the top and 2 to the bottom, so it could very well be removal for our Samurai. Let's hope not. Roaring Earth, Blossom Prancer, Kami of Transcendence. Are you kidding? These are incredible draws. Roaring Earth is actually probably the weakest of the 3 cards. Maybe Kami's weaker than the rest. But if we cast Blossom Prancer, we're only getting 1 of the other 2. But I think it's still probably best to just drop a Blossom Prancer. Although we're probably just playing Tanuki next turn, actually. If we attack all, we're hitting for... They block 4, we hit for 2 more damage, and we kill 3 of their 2/2s. Get out of the way for a big attack next turn. Probably better just attack all next turn and get in for more damage. Yeah, I think I am going Tanuki, actually. Math is for blockers. They get to kill 1 2/2 for free, but the rest of them are going to be trades. Take 14 damage on board here. They have to have 2 removal spells to survive this. They have to kill Samurai and a 2/2. Alright, yeah, they can't go for the double block on a first striker. They have to just make trades. Alright, and they do have the removal for the Samurai, but they still take 8. Our board state is much wider than theirs, and we'll play a nice Trampler. Should be quite likely to be lethal next turn unless they cast a Farewell on us. Alright, 2 and 2 it is. Kind of an awkward hand, but we have both of our colors and a removal spell up at least. Tanuki on 3 to get towards our other big cards. It is 4 lands in hand already, though. So if we're just planning on Tanuki being a land, we're basically keeping a 5-lander. Probably supposed to mulligan this, because there are some fast decks in the format this will just crumble to, as we did round 1. Yeah, we're just not putting anything on board for a while. This is much better. Fang of Shigeki into Air of Enlightenment. Into Blossom Prancer being a bit better than Shrine Steward. Definitely keep all the lands in hand so we know we're making it to 5, and we can use Air of Enlightenment to make sure that we don't make it to like 7. We don't get absolutely flooded out here. So we're ditching any lands we see on Era. We're keeping a Go Shintai though. And I'll trade Fang of Shigeki for a Selfless Samurai if they want to attack in here. Got the Dracula lands, they're very cool lands. Dragonfly Suit is the play for the turn. Crew that for only 1 to make it a 3/2 flyer. It is not... Its only creature type is a vehicle, so it will not be lifelink when it attacks. But it will be flying, so we'll take some damage from that for a while. White-black from our opponent. The main mechanic in white-black is to play artifacts and enchantments. For the build-around multicolored cards, they care about having an artifact and enchantment on board. But you can also just play good cards in those colors, as you can do in pretty much any color in the set if they're open. Just take good stuff. Alright, Mukotai Ambusher. Opponent will gain 3 here, and we'll take 3. I'm kind of happy they ninjutsu'd that there. I think it might have been worse for us if they'd just hardcast it. I guess not, because we have a first striker coming down. So that's the only way they gain 3 life there, but now they're going to have to recast the Dragonfly Suit. They could still be chipping in for just as much damage had they not ninjutsu'd. Just have slightly more cards on board. But if they wanted the life gain quite a bit, then it makes sense. Befriending the Moss. Okay, yeah, that explains it for sure. If they can give that flying, that is a really big deal. Even if we play a Blossom Prancer to block it as a reach creature, they can give it indestructible with Selfless Samurai, sacrificing that instead. So we need to Blossom Prancer and hope for our enchantment-based removal, our arrests, to arrest the Ambusher, and we do hit one. Certainly the draw. They get one more attack out of it, but... Actually, I'll attack with Fang of Shigeki as well if they want to trade. Again, I was I was happy with a trade for the Death Toucher before. I'm still happy for a trade with the Death Toucher now. Alright, yeah, they're just going to block Go Shintai and stop 1 damage there without losing a creature. I don't think I'd be happy to trade Blossom Prancer for Selfless Samurai, which is what I would do if I block here. I think I'm just taking another 4. Probably exile Go Shintai here, yep. Yeah, I think I'm taking another 4 and then just arresting. Although I don't need to arrest when they're out of ways to give it flying. So I kind of just have this arrest as a backup, if you think about it. Yeah, I don't need to arrest it if it's not getting flying again. Imperial Oath is going to be way more than enough blockers for everything they're doing on the ground, and the flyer that pops out of Befriending the Moths isn't going to have haste, so we're not worried about the Imperial Moth. Wanderer's Intervention. Rude, but acceptable. You take 3. They've gained 1,000,000 life off of Mukotai Ambusher plus Befriending the Moths, so that's still just going to put them to 25. But Imperial Oath should put a pretty solid stop to everything they've got on the ground here. I did that in the wrong order. I should put the Kami of Transcendence up top, so we can play the Kami and then arrest. That's probably what we want to do next turn, because we want to get rid of their flyers, so we don't just die to that. Uh-oh. Now they're really expanding the amount of flyers they have. Dragonfly Suit, Moth Rider Patrol, and Imperial Moth. That's 3, 4, 5, 6 damage of flyers each turn. That kills me in 2 turns. So we need a Season of Renewal for our Reach creature then. So Season of Renewal, Intercessor's Arrest is the plan. We arrest the Imperial Moth and then just cast a 4/4. Hope one of our enchantments dies here. That would be nice. I think we arrest the 2/4 because the Dragonfly Suit, we can attack into that pretty easily. So we go Intercessor's Arrest here, attack all, and then Season of Renewal in the end step. I guess maybe I should have hit Moth Rider Patrol, played more defensively rather than offensively here, because Moth Rider Patrol can keep tapping down my Reach creature anyway. So then even if we pick up the Reach creature with Season of Renewal, they can keep shutting it down if they spend all their mana into it, which would be worth it to hit us for 3 a turn, because that'll kill us in 4 turns. Maybe we'll get lucky though, and draw into another removal spell, another arrest off of our Reach creature that we cast. If not, we can just gain 4 life off of it, get another turn to survive. Lifelinker, that's a very good blocker for our board state too, which is unfortunate. Not what we want to see for sure. Through the Dragonfly Suit. An attack for 3. Alright, here's the Season of Renewal. Unfortunately only getting 1 card, but it's a very important card. Do we have any 1-mana cards left in our deck? We have 1 Moth Rider Patrol left. So hold up the white mana here. So now they probably just tap down Blossom Prancer every turn. And then crew, oh nice, crew the Dragonfly Suit with the Fragment of Khanda. But we got really lucky and picked up our Intercessor's Arrest here. So we'll be arresting the Dragonfly Suit probably. Because then sure they can tap down Blossom Prancer every turn, but then they don't have any flyers that are not attacking. If I arrest the Moth Rider Patrol instead, we take a lot more damage as soon as they get rid of our Prancer. We can't attack in anymore, though. So we're going to need them to draw dead for a while. tap the Prancer to hit for 3. We go down to 5. Yep, here comes the Dragonfly suit. 5 life it is. Play our Kami first, so it gets a +1/+1 counter. Shut off the Dragonfly suit. Moth Rider Patrol can't attack in unless the Blossom Prancer's tapped, and the Blossom Prancer won't be tapped unless they've tapped the Moth Rider Patrol anyway. Definitely another white source here off of the Uncharted Haven. But still no attacks now. And they just scoop them up, alright. Apparently just some bad draws from our opponent. They did not expect they were going to come back from that one there. Kind of a preemptive concession from our opponent. The board state does not look bad for them. I would expect maybe when we cast like Imperial Oath, maybe they scoop them up, but maybe just having a bad day. Maybe they've got stuff they gotta do, and the game's going long. You never know. Probably just didn't want the game to go as long as our second round did in the mirror match. Maybe they had a game like that, or they were like, nope, not dealing with the board stall. Not doing that again today. Anyways, we're 3-2, 50-50 win rate run, worst case scenario. And this hand looks pretty sweet, so hopefully we can get some best case scenario out of this. We've got a lot of white cards in hand, and our Lion Sash wants a lot of white mana, but we have double green cards in deck like Blossom Prancer. Ooh. I'm gonna go green. I'm gonna have the double green for if we draw a Blossom Prancer. And we get rewarded by drawing another white source, so now we have even green and white, which is pretty much exactly what we want for now. We do want more white mana later in the game, but we definitely want to hit our double green. So our Kami's going to be doing some pretty good stuff here. Cast our Era of Enlightenment this turn. It's going to be attacking as a 3/3. Our opponent is on green-red, so they could have the 2 mana. So we have got 5 mana already. We don't need this next land, but we definitely want Emergence. Anyways, what was I saying? If our opponent has the 2 mana 3 damage to a creature spell, we're going to be a little sad. That is a very common removal spell in red. Looks like they don't, just a Searchlight Companion this turn for a couple 1/1s. So Kami of Transcendence is going to keep popping off here because we're just going to keep playing an enchantment every turn. It's a 4/4 trample now, so now it's even, it's out of reach of that common burn spell. So a really good start for us with the Kami of Transcendence. Even our Era of Enlightenment is looking pretty impressive on this board state if they don't play something with more than 2 toughness here. They do have a Roiling Earth down, so if they have anything that cares about modified, they'll have a ton of modified creatures by being able to put +1/+1 counters wherever they want. Sending the Searchlight Companion and Jutsu a Kapatek Wrecker would be bad, but it looks like it's just for 1 damage here. And Voltage Surge to sacrifice it and kill the Kami, so that is the other red common removal spell that I forgot about. So I was just thinking about the 3 damage one. So that works too. A Brute Suit from our opponent can get crewed by their 2/2 Spirit to have a 4/3 Vigilance blocker. That is not big enough against our Harmonious Emergence. So easy attack with that. Definitely don't attack with the Go Shintai though. And then end step, not caring. Not worried about a crackback at 21 life, so we'll tap our 4/5 to make a 1/1. Go Shintai of Ancient Wars from our opponent. That is a first strike blocker. Pretty big deal. 3/3 first striker here. Just gets bigger the more lands they play with their Roaring Earth. I always call that Roiling Earth because all the Zendikar landfall cards have Royal in the name. But it's Roaring Earth. We can post-combat Greater Tanuki here. Can they kill our 4/5? Yeah, if they double block here. If they crew and double block that way, we lose our 4/5 and only kill one of their creatures. I guess if we arrest If we rest Go Shintai, they respond by crewing the Brute Suits. And they have a 4-3 and a 2-2 up. Don't have an excellent attack here. Maybe we do just slam down Tanuki. Just like attack all next turn. We could arrest the Brute Suit. But then we're still just attacking with the 4-5 and we only kill one of the creatures. Yeah, no matter what they do here, 4-5 is trading into a single creature. So if they block with the 2-2 and the 4-3, we're only killing the 4-3. They're at 9 life though, so just lowering the number of creatures they have seems pretty big. So we can just go wide in the future. I think I am attacking him with the 4-5 here. So crew with Go Shintai to double block with 2-2, 4-3 as expected. And I even think I kill the 2-2, not even the Brute Suit. Because we care about the number of creatures they have, not the power of creatures. So with a vehicle, they have to tap a creature to crew it, so it doesn't actually give them another creature. We pick up our Kami by playing an enchantment, which I totally forgot about. Forget how good this card is. Haiko Yamazaki, so they still have 2 creatures. So they have a 4-3 and a 3-3 first strike. Which would require a double block on our Tanuki. Yeah, send in Greater Tanuki, play Kami Arrest post-combat. Maybe I should have attacked all here. If I attack all because of trample, we don't lethal them. But we get some damage in. So they might have just blocked over here, but they could have kept creatures on and killed some of ours, which seems bad. Kept creatures down while killing some of ours. I'm actually going to hold on to Arrest, just in case they play something better. 4-4 first striker is pretty good though, as a blocker, so it is probably going on the Go Shintai. Another Brute Suit. It's another 4-3 to deal with, so I guess we're just attacking with the Kami. Again, it's the only creature big enough to kill that on a block, although there's Repel the Vial. Alright, Repel the Vial is beautiful. We can repel the Brute Suit if they crew it. Alright, and they're just going to scoop them up. So I was going to say, that's the point where we can definitely just slam all attack. I guess even if we didn't draw removal. Probably a wide enough board state. Our opponent at a low enough life, we're supposed to just get in our damage. Alright, so 4 and 2, now pretty much breaking even. 1,400 gems and 3 more packs out of this event. We're only down 100 gems, but we're getting everything that we drafted plus 3 packs in addition. Feels good. If I can just 4-3 every single draft that I ever do, I'll be happy. Because that means I get to just keep playing forever. Alright, we're going first here with a great curve. Kami into a 3-drop enchantment creature with an early Skyblessed Samurai. Lion Sash is kind of our late game card here. I have been realizing the more I play this card, don't really treat it as a 2-drop. It's like a card that takes over the game in the late game. So probably shouldn't be considering that as a 2-drop for my curve. Unless I draw my Memory of Mirror of whatever. The 2-mana Saga that buffs your stuff. But I have not drawn that. Did I cut that card? Because I haven't drawn it once. I might have cut it and forgot. I don't think I did though, because it's pretty strong. Alright, double blue up from our opponent. I don't think double blue can kill this Kami. The cheapest blue removal I can think of is 4 mana. They could bounce it with something. Alright, still mono blue so far. A 3-4 Guardians of Arobo. Arobo. I think I want to arrest that and just pressure my opponent. This also makes my Skyblessed Samurai cheaper. They're down to 10 already? Good lord. They're on blue-green. Sky Swimmer Koi, a 3/3 flyer. Tap that down and hit for 7. Or we could just play a 4/4 flyer. Probably rather play a 4/4 flyer here. Trade Bearer of Memory into it if they're okay with that. Which might have to be at this point. Should cast Samurai pre-combat. Because, yeah, now I can't cast it. That was a misplay. But Lion Sash is pretty good here, too. Yeah, I really should have done Samurai pre-combat because that would buff Kami of Transience, plus I would actually be able to cast it instead of being unable to cast it post-combat. That might cost me the game here if they have good stuff in hand, but looks like nope. Nothing. Well, it wouldn't be that they needed good stuff in hand. They need incredible stuff in hand because that was a ridiculous start. Double rare there. Kami of Transience into Lion Sash. So 5-2 it is. Now we are in the money. We're up 100 gems and a bunch of packs. Great place to be with our green-white enchantment deck. Big misplay there, though. That was embarrassing. Sliver me timbers. All right, here we are in, what is this, round 8? 5-2 thus far. Not a super keepable hand. I mean, we can Roaring Earth in the early game. Our opponent is on the play, which gives us draw steps. If we hit one land, we're definitely channeling Tanuki, which helps get to the rest of our hand here. Might be a bit of a bold keep, but I think I will just go for a turn 2 Roaring Earth. Uh-oh. Fast deck from our opponent. We could get punished here. Zeus's Many Journeys is going to be beautiful if we hit a third land right now. We don't hit a third land right now, so I think Roaring Earth is probably the better play. Although it doesn't do anything. Roaring Earth doesn't do anything if we don't hit more lands, just like Zeus's Many Journeys doesn't do anything if we hit more lands, but at least Zeus's Many Journeys becomes a 3/3 soon enough. We probably actually just play Zeus's Many Journeys so we can actually have a creature on board and gain a few life in the early game here while we're stumbling on mana. Just gain some life for now. Okay, we do hit our third land, which is great. So we're going to play Bearer of Memory here, and or channel Tanuki. We're only taking one a turn. Maybe we're channeling Tanuki. Yeah, this hand is starting to play out a lot differently than I thought I would. Once I saw Zeus's Many Journeys, I was like, maybe we're just going to like slam a 2-drop, 3-drop, so on, but our opponent's only attacking us with a single 1/1 right now. We've gained 3 life, so we're still at 20 life. Just play the long game cycle, the Tanuki, make sure we can hit our 6-drop, make sure we can hit our Lion Sash, which will also take over the game. We have just a lot of really powerful late game stuff, so let's make sure we make it there. So if we got double white, let's grab another green then. Although with Lion Sash, you can never have too much white mana. But let's make sure if we top deck our 4/4 Reach, incredibly powerful card, we can do that. But instead we can go Shintai and make a 1/1, unless they counter this. Alright, super nice. Alright. The ground is all blocked up when we're only taking 1 a turn in the sky. And we're still at 20. So feels not bad. Our opponent did just play a great draw spell, Thirst for Knowledge. Draw 3, discard 1, discarding Simian Sling. So we both have like just as many cards. Go Shintai of Lost Wisdom is a pretty annoying card. Just a 0/4 flying blocker that will mill us a bunch over time. And then a Peerless Samurai. Intercessor's Arrest. Does it shut off triggered abilities? No. This will not shut off Go Shintai's ability because that's a triggered ability. But I can still make it so it can't block. I don't think we're casting that right now either way. Probably play Lion Sash, Bearer of Memory. Although holding a mana up to make another 1/1 seems fine here. Attack with a 3/3, but it's not going to make any progress. It's just going to get stopped by a Go Shintai anyway. Oh, yeah, Bearer of Memory, Lion Sash seems good to me. If they had just regular removal, they probably would have just killed our Go Shintai already. So if they're going to blow up our Lion Sash, it's probably something that can only blow up an artifact anyway. Plus, we do have recursion in this deck. We've got our 1 Season of Renewal if our stuff gets blown up. So yeah, we are ending up using our Roaring Earth as just a giant land later this game. Giant instant speed land. So we're basically treating that as our most expensive card in hand. Alright, Simeon, sling onto the Network Disruptor to hit for 2 in the sky each turn, and an Ogre Head Helm to reconfigure onto the Disruptor. I love our opponent's deck. I love the blue-red artifact stuff, and I really love reconfigure. So Ogre Head Helm can get slapped on the Disruptor, and they'll start hitting us for 4 in the sky each turn, which is pretty scary. And even if I arrest the Disruptor, they can start putting it all on Goshintai of Lost Wisdom, because this doesn't actually have Defender. They can just buff that up and attack with that instead. So, kind of scary. And maybe we even arrest the Ogre Head Helm so they just can't give another thing +2/+2 and all that. Just shut off all those abilities. Reconfigure is an ability that we can shut off. If we arrest, we can play Kami plus arrest here. Yeah, Kami. Arrest the Ogre Head Helm, I think. And we start racing a bit because now we are attacking on the ground because we've got 2 3-power creatures, so one of them trades into the Samurai. We're not going to need Bear of Memory's Mana Sink, because we're going to be casting Imperial Oath for 1 million, then Roaring Earth for 1 million, and Imperial Oath is going to scry us into more cards to cast. Lion Sash we're going to be Mana Sinking into. So this seems pretty fine to me. There's no way Goshintai dies, unless they spend a 1 mana, 2 damage burn spell. And if they had that, it would be the sack a creature to deal 4/1, so they could kill it anyway. So I think we attack like this. Alright, so we are getting 1 creature out of the way, plus untapping lands with Likeness of the Seeker. Not that that will matter here. Actually, it will for Goshintai and Lion Sash. That is pretty nice. Yeah, no, Likeness of the Seeker actually really good with mana sinks. I totally forgot about that. The Reality Chip from our opponent, that is a devastating card. Once they reconfigure, they can start casting cards from the top of their library and playing lands from the top of their library. So essentially the top card of their library is always in their hand. So if they have land on top, they go land for turn. Then if they have a creature on top, they cast it. Then they have another creature, they cast that too. This card is absurd. It is like at minimum, draw 1 extra card per turn. And at best, it's draw like 2 to 3 extra cards a turn. It is a brutal card. So as you can see, it's already drawn them 1 card. It's drawn them a land off the top. Reality Chip is phenomenal, and I am terrified. We are going to start attacking very hard now to try to outrace that, because they will win the long game. We do not have removal that can kill that. We don't have a Fade into Antiquity to exile an artifact here. Again, we do have another Intercessor's Arrest, but that doesn't stop the triggered ability, or the static ability that lets them play cards from the top. So that doesn't work either. Alright. So, how do we kill them fast here? They've got only a 0/4 up as a blocker. We just attack all, right? We don't even reconfigure. We just attack everybody. We play a Fang and maybe channel a Roaring Earth. Probably not. We just attack all, keep making creatures with Goshintai, keep putting more creatures on board with Fang. Should have played Fang pre-combat so they couldn't block like that. I am very bad at playing with my Kami of Transcendence. Right, so we do this, we make a 1/1, and we make Lion Sash bigger. Alright, they played land for turn out of hand, so whatever's on top is not a land. Invoke the Winds to gain control of our Lion Sash. And untap it. That's brutal. Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that. We could exile some cards out of their graveyard for fun. As long as we're not putting more counters on it. Wow, yeah, this is a potentially devastating 1-2 punch. Reality Chip and Invoke the Winds are both 2-for-1s minimum. So Lion Sash is just a 3-3 for them, though. They don't have any white mana. But they could reconfigure it onto the flyer and get really aggressive, but I don't think that's in their best interest. The best interest is just sit behind the reality chip. Make sure they survive a long time. I'm just going to start casting everything pre-combat, because that's what I should have been doing the whole time, even though this one isn't an enchantment. Harmonious Emergence is probably better than Michiko's Reign of Truth here. Michiko's Reign of Truth does make a really big trampler, but they might kill that here because they've got a 3-3 and a 2-2 to double block it. Yeah, no, Michiko's Reign of Truth is actually a lot of extra damage, so maybe it is better. It's also cheaper, so we play that and Roaring Earth. What happens if we attack all? We lose Go Shintai to the Lion Sash, lose a 1-1 to the 2-2. That blocks there. They take 4, 5, 6, 7. Might be worth it. Been choked up on mana for Go Shintai anyway. Go Shintai is only threatening 1 more damage though, so probably not worth it, but it's probably worth it to attack with everybody else. Because the worst case scenarios are we're losing 1-1s that aren't trading. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is fine. This is fine. Ooh, we get to untap some lands for Likeness of the Seeker. Big fan of that. So we want, it doesn't matter what color, because I'm not casting Michiko's Reign of Truth here. I guess I could cast Roaring Earth and make a 1-1 here. I probably should do that. It just really feels like we're not ever going to make a big creature with this. So let's just make our Kami a little bigger, and then if we ever hit more lands, then we make things slightly bigger. Instead of this just sitting in our hand doing nothing all game. Alright, Guardians of a Robo. Why do I always call it a Robo? Guardians of a Robot. Off the reality chip, off the top. So that's another card draw for them. Luckily our board is really wide and quite powerful, and they're at 5 life. We could push through, still. For sure. Definitely looks like advantages on our side, even against the reality chip here. Unconfigure the Simian Sling to have more blockers. And mill us a card here. I guess we should be mildly worried about mill, but we're 19 cards away from that, and we're pushing an aggressive position here. Make our Trampler bigger, I think. Michiko's Reign of Truth, make it absolutely massive. Should maybe, hopefully, find lethal. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have 10 toughness. Yeah, attack all. Attack all, and it's definitely lethal. They can put 10 toughness on Kami and survive that, but then if we send everything else in, they can't survive at all, so... Yeah, Michiko's Reign of Truth with Kami of Transience, pretty busted there for a massive trample attack. And we're now 6-2, very far in the money this draft. Playing against the Jin-soaked boy. Turn 1 Fang of Shigeki, turn 2 Kami of Transience. I might even want to turn 3 this Fang of Shigeki just to make the Kami bigger. That might be greedy. But what can I say? I main Wario in Mario Party. Oops, I almost clicked Mulligan. That would have been bad. That would have not been a good place to click on the screen. Now I have Air of Enlightenment to play after Kami of Transience. I guess I could be mega greedy and go Kami into Fang plus Era on turn 3. We're doing it. We're doing a Wario-style game today. Playing against blue-black, Life of Toshiro Umezawa can't kill Kami of Transience, but 2 mana instant speed -2/-2 can, so let's hope for not that, fingers crossed. Because otherwise, we're attacking with a 4/4 Kami of Transience on turn 3. Brute Suit with no other creatures on board, let's go, we've got a game. We've got a game. Got a big Kami of Transience, that's what we've got. And I need to make sure to go for Skyblessed Samurai pre-combat when I want to cast it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. We've got a 5-drop. We do want this land and then the Tanuki, I think. We're only 1 mana away from Tanuki when we draw it. We'll have 5 total on board that turn. Four mana up from our opponents. Now they have the mana for any removal that can kill anything here. Kill Fang of Shigeki with a Clawing Torment. Fine by us. We still have our big threats down. And attack with a 4/4, drop a Lion Sash. Suit up. To activate the Brute Suit, well, then we repel the Vial. Instead of Lion Sash. Suit Up's a pretty great draw, or a pretty great card, because they drew a card out of that interaction too. Virus Beetle. Wow, this is a really rough one. Do we just discard the Samurai? Because it costs us 6 mana. I think we do, because once we have 6 mana, we're just going to play Tanuki anyway. Life of Toshiro Umezawa, there it is. The bane of my existence, or my best friend, depending on what side of the board I'm on. We hit for 1 more damage if we reconfigure Lion Sash here. Probably rather just play Lion Sash post-combat and make it big. Make it its own big creature. Spend all the white mana into enlarging, rather than spending 1 into a reconfigure. Excuse me. Opponent is down to 10 now. We hold up our Lion Sash mana to use in their end step. That way, if they have any graveyard recursion, we stop that. If they try to target Lion Sash with Life of Toshiro Umezawa's -1/-1, we will respond by making it a 2/2. But then we still get to hold up 1 trigger of Lion Sash for if they play any recursion. Alright, they're just going to gain 2 life. Network Disruptor. Little 1/1 flyer, tap something down. Tap down the Hand of Enlightenment. If they go for an attack here, I'm just going to stop Ninjutsu with a block. If they suit up to kill my Lion Sash, then whatever, I still have Kami of Transcendence beating down. Pass turn, get another counter on our Lion Sash here. Land pre-combat Tanuki for 1 extra Kami of Transcendence damage. Slam all in because they just have a 1/1 down. Phase them all out for a turn, so just like a fog here. Not the end of the world. They do get a ninjutsu effect here if they have one. Nope. Scoop it up. Pretty ridiculous final game for us. We drew both of our 2-mana bombs for just a really aggressive start. And I'm glad I went for the greed line with the Kami of Transcendence because it played out quite well there, just having another counter on it by playing the Fang a bit later. Really, really pretty unfair match there. Just drawing our sweet bombs we managed to draft. So that is going to be 7-2, a nice 7-win run for today's deck. We can take one final look at it. If you're interested, There were definitely some awkward things about this deck. This is far from the best green-white enchantment deck I've ever drafted. I think green-white enchantments is just one of the strongest color pairs in the format. It's just really, really good. I love the cards like Blossom Prancer and Shrine Steward. These decks can do a lot of really good value plays, and that's where they're probably at their best, like Season of Renewal as well. As you can see from some of our opponents, like some of the games that we lost, or I don't even know if we lost against a green-white. I know we lost against red-black and then somebody else that was like pretty quick. The game I thought we were going to lose against another green-white deck, that is like what you really want to be doing with green-white, is a lot of really big value plays. The 4-mana 4/3 that picks up enchantments and gains some life, and then gets to recast ones with good enter the battlefields. We don't have a lot of that value kind of green-white stuff going on. We just kind of have green-white good stuff for the most part. We do have the Blossom Prancer and Shrine Steward filling that role a little bit in the Season of Renewal. So I think the deck is solid. It's just not the best green-white deck I've ever done. Skyblast Samurai isn't as good as I'd hoped for. It did win us a game or two for sure. But just not having any abilities other than just being a creature, like no enter the battlefield effect or activated ability or anything like that, was a little bit medium. Yeah, overall, pretty much everything else did its job, worked pretty well. Moth Rider Patrol was maybe a little medium in here as well, and Roaring Earth wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. I don't think it really changed the outcome of any game that we played. Maybe against the other green-white deck, just having another random 9/9 was a big enough disincentivizer to stop them from attacking long enough for us to redraw our Lion Sash with Season of Renewal that it mattered in that game. But most of the other games, it didn't do much. So yeah, Roaring Earth was maybe the biggest underperformer. Just these 3 cards at the right. But everything else in the deck accomplished its goal. Michiko's Reign of Truth winning. And I think that was even in the game where I was like, I don't think I've ever drawn that card. So maybe I ended up cutting it or something. And then I drew the card in that game and won with it, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, Kami of Transcendence and Lion Sash, the big, absolutely ridiculous 2-mana cards that just become absolutely massive late game and really take things over. Ridiculous bombs. But that is going to end today's video. As always, if you're enjoying these videos and you want to see more, you can stick around on the channel. I do these videos pretty much daily, and we've got some great things on the horizon. On April 1st, we've got the return of Dominaria drafts to Magic Arena. I will probably do 1 or 2 reaction videos to Streets of New Capenna spoilers coming up as well. Definitely when they do the big reveal event for that. I believe that is at like right the start of April as well. So some very cool things at the end of the month, at the start of the next month, whatever you want to call it. And then obviously, if they ever bring back Cube, I'll be playing that. And when Streets of New Capenna comes next month, we'll have tons and tons of that. But in the meantime, we'll be hanging out, playing more Kamigawa, playing whatever special events they slap on, like the Neon Arcade event we were playing earlier. So yeah, stick around, should be a good time. But as always, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.